Hello, greetings to everyone. It's me, Thales. You're watching my channel about English language. Today we have a video, read and talk about, right? What are these videos? These are videos in which I explain a topic of my choice, right? I choose a topic from the news and we're going to have some conversation about it, okay? And so let's get started. Don't forget, my channel has more than 700 videos available, and check it out. English grammar, vocabulary, you name it, everything available to you. You know, I have been traveling in the week before last. I was abroad, right? I was traveling, and I decided to choose this topic of conversation because I went under some kind of stress, right? Because of flights. So that's the topic from today. Okay, I will run the conversation. I will leave the link of this news article so that you can explore as well. We're going to talk about flight cancellation. It's very common. I don't know whether it's very common or not. You tell me. I don't travel so often, so every once in a while I take some trips. What about you? How often do you travel? Do you travel during your vacations, or do you go under some difficult situations such as flight delays or flight cancellation? I don't know which is worse. Depending on the delay, you can wait and there is no problem, but some situations they are more difficult than others, right? So thousands of flights were canceled in the US as air travel breaks pandemic record during 4th of July weekend. So today, for example, is holiday in the US, right? Independence Day. Here in Brazil, it's not holiday. It's the day that I come back from my vacation. So what about you? What do you think of flight cancellation? Do you have some bad experience to report? My talk just briefly before we delve into the article itself. I didn't have a flight cancellation, but I was very stressed out because it seems that many US flights, right, within the country, they seem to have been delayed. And there was a huge line in which I had to wait, and I didn't know what was going on. I went to the airport very early, and then I had to wait in line for about 4 hours. Yes, I was very stressed out. I was afraid my flight might be canceled, but hopefully nothing bad happened to my flight. Although some people were very stressful, very stressed out, many people were arguing, trying to skip the line, stuff like that. A woman just behind me was telling me that the day before she was supposed to travel the day before, and something unexpected happened, and then she had to wait in the airport. So it's terrible. Hopefully everything turned out to be okay for me, but I had to wait a long time. My luck was that I went to the airport very early because the airport is very far from where I was staying. For example, Newark is very far from New York. So I had to plan myself. I checked out from the hotel, and then I went to the airport to wait. But my flight wasn't delayed. Everything went as expected. The only problem was this stressful situation in which I didn't know what was going on. Okay, let's get back to the article. So that's it. We are going to talk about this news article from CBS News from today. And there has been a surge in flight cancellations throughout the US in the last few weeks. Holiday travel woes, right? Lamentations, some bad situations which people went under. Americans didn't let high gas prices and airport chaos keep them at home this 4th of July. It means, let's understand this statement. So, there were some obstacles, obviously, high gas prices, and consequently, the tickets were priced higher than expected. Here in Brazil, we have a boost, soaring prices from flight tickets as well. I guess it's about 80% more expensive. My luck was that I had bought this trip. The last few trips that I took this year were bought a long time ago, so I didn't feel the impact from the high price. Anyway, airport chaos, yes, I experienced some of this. So the obstacles didn't keep them at home. So Americans decided to travel during holidays either way. You know, today's holidays, so it's kind of, they spent the weekend, right? Saturday and Sunday, and they had Monday. So it was a 3-day period from holidays. So they were able to travel, visit their families, or go somewhere just to to have some fun, go to the beach. Anyway, millions of travelers packed into airports over the holiday weekend, and many were met with chaos. So the airports had plenty of difficult situations. Thousands of flights were delayed or canceled. You know, when a flight is delayed, depending on the period you have to wait in the airport, is very bad. You may be able, for example, experience just 1 hour delay. It's okay, 1 hour delay. But some situations, they are rough, right? It's about, for example, let's suppose, the delay is 12 hours. So you have to wait 12 more hours. And some flight companies, they don't give proper assistance, right? So you have to figure it out on your own what you do, such as, do I go to a hotel, right? I have to rent a hotel room on the go, right? On the fly, just immediately, and I will pay much more for that hotel room. You know, when you don't make a reservation, it makes a situation much worse. But when the flight is canceled, I believe it's even worse, because you have no perspective, you have no idea when your next flight will take place. Of course, I believe they try to fit your flight into a schedule, right? The next flight to Rio de Janeiro, you're going to take it, so it won't be any problem. The feeling that I had was that this turmoil, right, this difficult situation involved mainly the internal flights, because many people traveling within US were having problems. But for me, I don't think it posed to be a threat to my flight, because my flight was to Brazil. At least it was my expectation. Let's get the transportation security, just a moment. The Transportation Security Administration estimates it screened more than 7 million people Friday through Sunday, a number close to pre-pandemic levels. So people were really traveling. So the quantity, right, the gathering, the crowds were pre-pandemic level compared. And the TSA, right, the Transportation Security, when I say it's screened, screen is a process in which they inspect you to see if you're carrying something such as a gun or some metallic objects. I had some bad experience regarding this as well, but yeah, I was wearing a support for hernia, right, and in order to relieve pain, and the officer thought I was carrying something dangerous, harmful, or drugs or something related, and they asked me to inspect. I had to go to a small room and inspected. Hopefully I was able to explain. They just took a cotton swab to see if I was carrying some kind of harmful substance, and I said, no, this is just a support I'm wearing in order to relieve the pain. So anyway, it was the first situation in which I had to be further inspected, but everything turned out to be okay. Okay, let's get back to the text. Close to 2.5 million passengers were screened on Friday alone. Look, it's a huge amount of people, making it the busiest day at US airports since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. I believe I was really lucky that my trip back to the US, to Brazil, took place 1 week before the holiday of July 4th. Because if I was to come back later than I expected, I believe I could have gone under serious trouble. Okay, this is in the middle of growing demand. So the demand for flights were growing. It means that the prices are going up, you know. It's demand and offer demand, right? When you have high demands, the prices tend to go up. Besides that, US is facing staff shortages. It means that they have fewer people available for the flights. And we know that the world is facing high gas prices, high fuel prices. So this combination led to headaches for hundreds of thousands of travelers. You know, depending on the article you read, for example, this part of the text which is underlined, you can click on it and another window will pop up with some complementary text about what you are reading. So it's very useful. Every article from the internet offers that. I will leave the link of this article at the description, right? So you can read and have more details. It's a great way to improve your vocabulary, and you can think about it and explore your ideas. That we have in the read and talk about, the idea is this. It's not explore English grammar. No, the focus here is on ideas and issues. So we talk about the topics, that we are reading, and I try to stimulate that in you as well. So it's the best way, reading, speaking. Don't worry about the mistakes you might make. Mistakes are unavoidable sometimes, but you try to speak correctly, yes, but don't mind the mistakes. The more you speak, the more you get acquainted with the language, all right? Let's get nearly 17,000 flights were delayed and more than 1,400 were canceled over the weekend, according to the flight tracking website FlightAware. So there is a website in which you can check about the availability, right? How the flight status are around the US or around the world, I believe. Just for you to, just to let you know, it's the first time I'm reading this article. So I'm exploring the ideas on the fly, right? Reading together with you. I like to do this because it's the best way to exercise ideas, to talk about something that is not expected. I know the main idea of the article because I read the headline before exploring it with you, but it's different because it stimulates, how can I say, it's a set of stimuli that prepares you to talk about many different ideas in the same article. So you explore the article idea and as well as you blend it with your own experience. One of those frustrated passengers is Alan Ken, whose flight from New Jersey to Toronto was canceled days before his wedding. So here it's an international flight from the US to Canada, and he says that his flight was canceled. Let's see what he says. We just got here. They let us know right now that it got canceled. I believe it's the worst situation because they don't tell you anything, and just when it gets on time, you expect to flight, and then you are told that your flight is canceled. All of a sudden. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. I never know how to say his name. It's Mayor Pete, right? Who ran for presidency, right? Before, and then he gave up, right? And then Biden won the election, and he is actually in his team. He's called Mayor Pete because he was the mayor of South Bend, I believe, the town that he was a mayor. So the Secretary Pete has been under pressure to address the chaos, and it's difficult. What did he say? Quote, "This is something that is affecting all of us, and it's affecting the economy when that happens because so many people can't get to where they need to be for work. So many people can't get to the loved ones," he told Sunday morning on CBS. Okay, so he gave an interview and he acknowledges that this problem is affecting all of us, the economy and everything. Not just for people traveling during holidays, but also because many people travel for work around the US. Look here, air travel is getting worse. Here are 6 tips to make it less of a headache. At least I'm not expected to travel anytime soon. I guess my next trip, if I travel, will be from next year on. So it's less of a problem right now, and I believe I was lucky. I didn't have any problems, any delays or cancellations for that matter. Pete is calling on airlines to do better. Okay, yeah, as if it did any good, noting that the industry received a 54 billion bailout at the height of the pandemic. So it was a great it's like a stimulus program, right? And the industry received this as an incentive. The flight companies didn't have to pay taxes, and the amount is huge. So he just emphasizes, okay, you received the bailout, so you have to do better, right? At the height of the pandemic, they received this package. We sent a lot of taxpayer funding, specifically for the purpose of keeping people employed at these airlines, right? So that you don't have people fired, right? So many companies, they went under duress, very stressful situations. Many middle companies and even smaller airlines, they just closed its doors, right? They went bankrupt for many different reasons, not just about the flight companies, but the economy in general was affected by the pandemic. And now I believe the recovery is underway, but it's been difficult times anyway. And the economy isn't getting better, you know. We are in the middle of an Ukraine-Russia crisis, and the prices of oil, they are very high, and it affects the economy. Brazil's economy, the inflation rates, they are at an all-time high from the last few years, and the US is facing kind of the same problem. Not the same, because the economies are different, but the US is facing recession as well. And now they need to have the people, and they need to have the resources to get people where they need to go. Yeah, easier said than done. This year, more flights have been delayed compared to any other year in the past decade. Wow, this is huge data. Yeah, worth noting data. Staffing shortage is one of the biggest factors at play, specifically pilots. It means that you have fewer pilots than needed. Just last Thursday, Delta pilots held protests across the country to demand higher pay and better work conditions. So in the midst of this chaos, many pilots stopped working, right? They went on strike, demanding higher pay and work conditions. You see, it's difficult. The mayhem at airports, the chaos, the mayhem at airports may be why 42 million Americans opted to bypass airports entirely this holiday and hit the road instead. It means that Americans know that flight may not be the best option, so they decided, instead of traveling by plane, I know that the situation is bad, the prices are high, there is a shortage of staff, my flight might be delayed or canceled. You know what? I'm hitting the road, right? Traveling by car instead or bus instead. Despite near record high gas prices. And you know, it's not easy either, because in order to hit the road, you need gasoline. You need fuel, and the gas prices, they are higher as well. But the problem of flight cancellation or having you under uncertainty, because there are many variables you don't control, right? When you take a flight ticket. Instead of doing this, if you get your car, it's kind of, I'm in control of the situation, or at least I think I am. Or yeah, I know the prices are going to be higher, but at least I know where I'm going, right? I pay for the higher fuel higher fuel prices, no problem, but I can control the destination, right? Where I'm coming from and where I go. Anyway, you're going to face some traffic jam. The problems with traffic, they remain, but the situation is far more controllable, right? Because when you take a flight, you don't control anything, right? You depend on the flight. You depend on the pilot, you depend on the company. If the company cancels, if the company delays your flight for some reason, you are in huge problem, right? You have a huge problem to face and to struggle with. That's what Ken eventually did. So he could make it to his wedding. So it means that instead of flying to Toronto, he decided to hit the road. He drove more than 9 hours to Toronto after his rebooked flight from Newark was also canceled. You know, this is a terrible airport. I don't recommend it to anyone. It's a mess, you know. I had no choice. Newark is close, between quotations, of course, close to New York. It's not very close, but it's relatively close. And by the time I traveled back to Brazil, it was already a mess, let alone how it is now. And the main disadvantage of driving is that you will take much more time, because flights are like this, very fast, right? Depending on your destination. But driving to Toronto, 9 hours. So you will take more time, you will spend a lot of money with gas, but that's what you have. Because if your flight is canceled, you have no other way to deal with the problem. All right, that's it, people. It's not a very big article, and this article dealt with these problems, and it's not just about the 4th of July. The problem is going all underway, and it's further. It goes further than that. I hope you enjoyed, and in the next videos that I record, I will try to record videos both in English to stimulate critical thinking in English, and it's a way of me practicing my English as well, and since I don't have anyone to talk to. In the US, I had plenty of opportunities to talk with people. It was great. It was a great flight. I spent one week in New York City, and I met many different people there. Yeah, I'm not kind of the best sociable people ever, but I had opportunity to engage, to strike conversation with many different people, right? Okay, so I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and so you get my next notifications as I upload the videos, and give a huge thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. All right? See you soon.